We're blessed with so many wonderful neighbors around the parish, two of whom are a couple who just witnessed to me how sacred a love that's willing to accommodate is in life. And it all surrounds their old arthritic pit bull. Maybe I have a special bond with them because Christy and I have an old arthritic dog too, but I've just watched them love this dog with an accommodating love. It started a few years ago when the dog's arthritis started to kick in and wasn't able to manage steps well on their front stoop when they would take their dog out faithfully for daily walks. So they built a ramp and set that up so the dog could walk up and down the ramp a bit more easily for its walks. Then there are days when the dog is not able to walk, but they still continue to accommodate. The other day I saw them pushing the dog in a running stroller. It was beautiful, watching the dog soak up the sun and the smells, and again, just revel in all of that accommodating love that was pushing it. These neighbors are wonderful witnesses to me of how sustaining a love that's willing to accommodate is. Many of us who practice following the way of Jesus may have heard in church recently the miracle of the loaves and fish, where Jesus took a few loaves of bread and blessed some fish and was able to feed thousands. And there's so many ways to dance with that miraculous gospel passage. One of them is an invitation to dance with this divine love that is always willing to make sacred accommodations for you and for me, even in the most deserted of places, which is the story behind that miracle. There were these crowds, many of whom were sick, broken, hungry, and thirsty, and not just the physical kind of hunger and thirst, who suddenly found themselves in this deserted place with Jesus at the end of the day. And the disciples wanted to send them on their way. But Jesus instead made some sacred accommodations, sitting down with them, blessing and breaking bread and fish. And as a result of that sacred accommodation, was able to feed and sustain in marvelous and miraculous ways. And there's a holy invitation in that for you and for me to pause and pray about on our journeys, to reflect on where we experienced that gift of a love that was willing to make accommodations for us just as we are, and how that accommodating love was able to sustain some real growth and peace in our lives and on our journeys. It's also worthwhile to do some examination of our own lives and reflect on how accommodating we are, or maybe how accommodating we feel called to be to those around us. But ultimately to celebrate, because those two practices both help us tap into this eternal wellspring of a love that is willing and longs to make whatever accommodations are necessary to sustain our growth and life, even in the most deserted places. God's peace and blessings to you all.